Welcome to another episode of As Chess Recommends. I'm Picadon and I'm here with my good friend Altaz. So how are you today, Altaz?
I'm good. I'm good. Picador, Picador. Yeah, I'm so glad you chose that as your name for today. But yes, I'm doing good, and um, as we discussed, I'm like gonna be get a little bit of a vacation soon. So next Saturday we'll be traveling to Bulgaria, and I'll be there for the week, and then so when I come back, I'll miss that our next session. So I think we discussed that we would have that next session 1 week later, but to kind of make up, since there are so many movies we have in the backlog that we want to discuss and stuff, that we would try to do three for that session, as I'll have a little bit extra time to watch movies.
Yeah, so 3 week break. So it will be fun to talk about three films next time. Maybe it will be like a really long podcast, but it's fine. Actually, this time I didn't overthink the picks that much. So for once, I managed to not kill myself with overthinking. Yeah, so that was nice. And actually, I've picked two. Then I have some choices for the third one. So I will just go with my gut when it's time for the recommendations and see which is the third one. But anyway, I'll tell you about the dream I had last night because I've been having lots of weird dreams lately because I've been actually sleeping like really like I have had like good night's sleep for the last couple of weeks. So I've been also dreaming more. So one of the dreams I had last night was about this particular podcast. And in that dream, we talked for a few minutes and then I completely froze up and I had some
Oh
kind of like
no!
a mental breakdown. And I
Oh
was just,
no!
I couldn't like get like words out of my mouth and you were just looking at me like, why aren't you talking? And then in the dream, we went back and looked at the recording as well. And then in that, I saw myself like feeling like this, like I had like a psychosis or something. It was really weird. Like, and it
Wow,
even
that's
like, yeah, even in the tree, like it said that the podcast was 78 minutes long, even though I had that mental breakdown. So we'll see if this is also 78 minutes. I mean, it will be way longer, of course. But
Are you someone who believes that dreams have a meaning, or you kind of just think they're a random collection of things?
well, some of them have meaning, definitely, but I'm not sure whether this one has. I think I've been just been thinking that how hard it is to talk about
Mm.
still walking. So that's probably one of the reasons I had the dream. But I
Yeah.
have had like these weird dreams in general now. So like after that, I actually had a dream that I was a waiter at McDonald's. Like, and then there was someone in the who said that I got the wrong order. Then I went to ask the cooks, but then I went back to the customer, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna steal your food," and they tried to escape the McDonald's and stuff. So it's absolutely
Wow,
crazy stuff. Like,
that's actually very distressing. That dream.
I've had these lots of these like kind of nightmares as well lately, but which is not nice. But what can you do?
Do you have? I don't want to go into psychoanalysis, but do you have fear about like what you're gonna do like after you finish your program?
No, yeah, definitely lots of that. So,
Because like thinking of McDonald's, like I can understand like everyone associates that with like I I won't be able to get a job, so what am I gonna do? Work at
yeah.
McDonald's, and then it's a I don't know if that's too
And
obvious or not.
there's always this joke that what does a social sciences major say at McDonald's? What can I get you? So,
Oh, that's a mean joke.
yeah. But I mean, it's kind of true that it's obviously harder to find a job with a
It
degree
is,
like
yeah.
this than it's like if you had like biology or physics or something.
It is. It is, yeah. It is, but you're like an extremely bright person, so um, you know. So I don't. I think, yeah, you will find your way. But even though it's not as easy of an area, I agree with you. because I started there too. I was my first degree was a history major, so graduating from that, I can understand the feeling. What are you really supposed to do after that point? So
And I think it's sad that these aren't valued like social sciences, because
so
we talk about things that affect everybody's life. So you would think that it actually would be more appreciated in a way.
yeah, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. It shouldn't be like that. So
Yeah. But anyway, it's not the topic of the podcast. So obviously, you could talk about this stuff for hours.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, last time I said that we were gonna introduce a burning questions segment to the podcast, but last time I actually forgot to ask the question, even though I was supposed to do it in the end. So I'm gonna ask that same question now before we go into the actual topic. So this is like a very simple question. It's about kind of whether you like to eat food when you watch films or not.
That's a great question. Yeah, so originally I always would like to, yeah, like especially like popcorn or something. Uh, and then, but sometimes, especially like more recently, I find that it can interfere with watching. So if you really want to immerse yourself, sometimes having the snacks and stuff can be a little bit intrusive. But still, generally, I snack. But there are some films that are not uh, snack friendly. And I actually considered doing a video once, or even a challenge where I was thinking of saying that uh, the film community, everyone like name 10 films that aren't snack friendly. So, what about you?
Yeah, it also depends on the film for me. I don't like to eat like when I watch some hardcore art house stuff. But then if I watch like Sopranos or the OC or like TV shows, I think it's fun to eat something, and obviously Coke. I love Coke, but so that's like perfect for films and stuff. And even in the cinemas, I never buy anything in the cinemas other than maybe a drink, but never popcorn or any food. So
And what kind of snacks like do you like sweet snacks or like savory or both?
both, but I mean chocolate and ice cream are the two biggest for me.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
And again,
I'm more popcorn and that kind of stuff, like
yeah,
popcorn, mostly popcorn, almost always popcorn. And I do like Coke with popcorn, to be honest. That's like such a great combo.
but I rather eat like crisps than popcorn, so like Pringles or something. So
Oh, okay, nice, nice.
yeah, maybe sour cream and onion or something like that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I like sour cream.
or like paprika or like some of the barbecue flavors and things like that. That has some
Oh,
spice. And
yeah,
I
man.
once tried those like habanero chili once. So habanero is like a really spicy chili.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it was like I started crying after it.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's fun to try out those spicy foods, and I like spicy food, but maybe not that spicy.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. I mean, I was raised on spicy food, so
Yeah.
yeah, for me it's a little bit different. But
Yeah, obviously for Finland we eat like really mild foods, but I like Chinese stuff and that has lots of like
yeah, yeah,
chili,
yeah,
like like the Szechuan chicken is like I don't know how to pronounce it, but that has
yeah.
like
That's
quite a bit
nice.
of chili usually. Yeah.
And also Thai food. Thai food is spicy.
And even when I cook myself, I often put like cayenne pepper and things like that a lot. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And chilies and white pepper, and those are like pretty spicy. Obviously, it depends who you ask, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I said in a video recently that again my idea of spicy food is different than from people from Mexico, for example.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course. But even if you have like Thai food, like let's say here in like UK or Canada or whatever, but when you go to Thailand, it's so much spicier.
yeah,
So even if you have really what you think is really spicy here, it's like once I went and got like one of those papaya salad from one of the street carts, and it was so spicy,
Yeah.
like you can't even eat it. It's so crazy. So yeah.
I think pizza is great, like TV show food, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
TV and pizza is like the greatest.
yeah, yeah.
You know, like Sopranos, you get your, and especially if you can get a nice New York style pizza while you're watching
Yeah.
Sopranos. It's perfect. It's like when Tony comes to AJ, he's like, "Come on, got a pizza, AJ."
And I like kebab as well, but we do kebab a bit differently here in Finland. Again, we have this kind of specific sauce that we use in Finland that's different than in other countries and makes it better. So,
Okay.
but the meat is very similar, but the sauce makes the difference.
Oh, nice.
But
Yeah, I
anyway,
once saw this thing where they were talking about how the Swedish meatball was like inspired by the Turkish kebab, which I didn't know. But that's Sweden, by the way. I'm not equating Finland and Sweden. So
yeah, but our meatballs are the same. So
yeah,
yeah, I love that type of meatball. Yeah, it's good kind of basic, stupid proletariat food. So,
yeah,
yeah, mashed potatoes and meatballs and some brown sauce or even ketchup. Yeah. But I'm not like the Americans that if I go to a Chinese restaurant, I'm not gonna put ketchup in the food. Yeah, no. I want the curry sauce or the chili sauce. And every time I go to Chinese restaurants, I always buy the chicken foods. Like even though I know Chinese use lots of pork and stuff, but I prefer chickens.
yeah.
And they make chicken so well; it's always so soft and just perfectly cooked. Like, and then all the vegetables. I love the vegetables in Chinese food, like with the sauce and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, Chinese food is great.
Yeah, I wish I could cook that myself, but yeah. I hate cooking, but I cook some foods myself, but it's pretty basic stuff. Like spaghetti bolognese and lasagna and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I love lasagna. I haven't had lasagna in a long time.
But, like one more thing is that again, this reminds me of my stepfather. But once I just mentioned when I was living in London that the noodles that I like are a bit more expensive in London than in Finland. Then my stupid stepfather said that should we mail them to you? like like packs of like chicken noodles, like, and the postage is probably like 30 euros or something.
Oh man.
They were not that expensive in London. You would have to mail them from Finland. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. But anyway, that was the food topic. Next time I'll have something a bit more intellectual, probably. But we'll see.
Food is good, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad topic.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'll run down the topics now. So we are going to start with Sion Sono's Love and Peace. It's probably the easier film out of these to talk about, even though it has more going for it. But that's kind of makes it easier that it isn't as subtle and simple. I can't wait to hear what Altaz thought about that film because it was even crazier than I remembered when I watched it last weekend. And then after that, we are going to talk about Still Walking, then the new picks, 3 films this time, then Minnie Riperton's Come to My Garden, and then the new music recommendation that will be hip hop this time. But I'm not going to spoil anymore.
All right. Very interesting.
So now we are going to talk about Sion Sono's Love and Peace. I'll ask Altez first for his general comments, and then I will sing the song if I can. But I've been practicing a lot, but it's going to be a bit awkward. But yeah. So Altez, what did you think of Love and Peace that's available on Third Window?
Yeah. So when you suggested it, I didn't know what to. Like I was nervous because I didn't know what to expect because the things you were saying about it, you were like, "Oh, it's kind of like Wes Anderson," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And you were like, "Yeah, like Fantastic Mr. Fox." So I ended up watching Fantastic
Yeah.
Mr. Fox as well. And yeah, it's like it was a total surprise, this film, like, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, it's bonkers, but it's like it's got all the like really nice elements, right? Because it's like bonkers, like insane, and then but it's like a really nice, like feel good, like Christmas type story, but with that just right amount of like melancholy, and then it's like it does actually have some really interesting elements in there to actually discuss and think about. So it's like, yeah, just a really enjoyable film. Like I'm like, oh wow, like this is something to like watch every year for like Christmas. It's like it's a lot of fun. It's a fun movie as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, but I guess I should sing the song and then we'll get into the discussion. So
Yeah.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is so awkward. Like I won't be seeing our webcams, which makes it a bit easier because I'm gonna look at the lyrics. So
Okay.
I mean, it's not as awkward when I do it on the video myself, but yeah, it's you are listening to me singing. I mean, it's not that long, but and there are a couple moments there that like fit the vocal melody feels a bit awkward, especially as it is a language that I don't speak. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but for the most part, it's fairly easy. Yeah, so looking at the lyrics now. Well, I'll start now and we'll see how
Okay.
it
Here we
goes.
go.
But
Here we
yeah,
go. I'm very excited for this. I was excited when I was watching the movie. I was like, oh yeah, SJS is gonna sing this.
yeah. And this is the first version of the song, the Picadon version, and not the Love and Peace version. Tokyo rimpi kuni mukete, kono kuni wa, don don, yutaka ni natte ku, kako no, nikai omoede osutete, meo chumuri, mimi o fusaki, kuchi o chukumi, donnani, shiawase o chukurotte, mita tokoro de, Picadon, omae o wasurenai. Picadon, omae o wasurenai. Meni yakichuiteru nakasharete yuku omae no kao. Wasureta furinanka deki konai. Picadon, omae o wasurenai. Picadon, omae o wasurenai. Dekiru kotonara ima suku tori kaesh hitai. Wasureru kotoka deki nainda. Wasureru kotoka deki nainda. Yeah, that was it.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Because you're singing like I was like, how's he gonna sing? Because I would get so nervous singing in another language because the pronunciation and everything. But that was like really good.
Yeah, but I've
That
actually
was really good.
I've been singing the song for years. So.
But still, that's like really good to get all the like sounds and everything right. Like wow.
Yeah. I think Japanese language it's not that hard to pronounce for me. It's like how the nouns and everything are there. It's actually a bit similar to Finnish language, so I don't have
Really,
to.
that's
Yeah, I don't have to pronounce them that differently as I would in Finnish actually.
yeah, that was really impressive.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
It's
But anyway,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about this great film now. So again, it was the second time for me, and like I said in the introduction, that it was even crazier than I remembered. It's very intense watch, although there's some like kind of chill moments, especially with the old guy who was with the toys and stuff. That's kind of like a breather in the film sometimes out of the kind of insane music industry stuff. And yeah, it just has everything. It has a bit of like Toy Story element, like how the toys are, like how these kids abandoned us and stuff. Like it's like Toy Story, but in a live action way. And apparently, this was like a big passion project for Sion Sono that he tried to make this for a very long time, but it took him long time to get to do it. I think maybe due to the effects and stuff and not having the budget and things like that. And of course the turtle. Yeah, it's nice to see the journey around that small turtle and that giant monster in the end. And then he goes back to being the small turtle in the very end. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about the effects so far. The effects were really impressive, like all the effects for the movie, the puppeting and everything like that. Like that part, like really impressed me because I was like, oh, this is so well done and not so easy to do, like you said, and it being his passion project and the cost and expense. So yeah, it's really well done. The effects for the turtle and stuff. It's just really great. But um, I'm really kind of excited to talk about all those things because it's like clearly all these things are like representative of different things, like what the turtle represents, what the iceberg thing represents. Even that whole world with the toys and in the sewer and that kind of what would you say, vagabond type character or whatever, like living in the sewers, like giving them a home and everything. There's so many elemental, interesting things to reflect on in that film, while being totally entertaining and enjoyable. So
Now the main performance is absolutely
yes,
insane. Like it's like they probably were laughing a lot when they were shooting this film because it was probably really hard to get down those takes when he's just going absolutely mental in the
yeah,
workplace and in the toilets and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And then when
Yeah,
he
what?
meets
Go ahead.
those like musicians and then they track him there and but then he ends up singing the Picadon song and everybody falls in love with him.
Yeah, I mean, what a great performance. Like I felt the same way. I was like, this guy is like he has done such a great job because it's like the turns of the character and then even at the end, like becoming this diva, this almost like David Bowie-esque walking around. I'm a superstar now. Like what I was like, wow, like he's done like so great because at each stage it's like he's so different, so you see the changes, the metamorphoses, the different changes like happening in him, and each one he's like played so convincingly. Yeah, that's what a really great performance, really great central performance.
And it's all because of the turtle. He can gives him the melodies and lyrics and everything. Like yeah. And then the turtle
Ooh.
just grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The bigger the dreams become. So it's interesting.
So yeah, I think like one of the things what I found really interesting is that what the turtle represents. So I felt like okay, there's the iceberg um, kind of metaphor there. I'm an iceberg, and all you see is the tip, and then there's this all this underneath that you don't see. And I was like, oh, this whole thing about uh, the ego and like the super ego, like the conscious and subconscious, and then the subconscious being this big thing underneath that you don't see, that basically drives your actions and your motivations and even your dreams, and that you don't have full control of. So I felt like the iceberg and the turtle were connected in that way, because the turtle's growth was this uncontrollable, like subconscious, like urges and drives and desires and unquenchable desires. Uh, One aspect, but there's another aspect that I felt the turtle represented it uh, as well, which I found really fascinating.
Yeah, and what is the connection between the toys and the turtle? Because the toys are kind of again the childhood, and then when the children leave the toys behind, they leave their childhood dreams behind. And then also this main character, he had those dreams as well, and he's repressing all of that. So it's
Yeah,
so like I mean what's the connection between all of those things? Like
I mean,
I didn't like when I was watching it. I didn't watch it with a very analytical eye. So we'll see now that we are talking about it, what we are gonna come up with. Yeah, as always.
yeah, I mean, it. The film was so crazy that it's like I didn't intentionally try to watch it with an analytical eye, but as I was watching it, to be honest, like I found this. It was quite emotionally affecting, this film. I just found
Yeah,
like I was like watching it and I was feeling like very emotionally affected. So naturally, it was kind of the question arose: what is it? What is it about this that's so emotionally affecting? And it's like it so precisely expresses something that I have experienced in my own life, I've learned about, is that in a way, it's like we we go through life with that child consciousness in us. So a lot of our drives are that child consciousness in us, and also a lot of our desires are that child consciousness in us, or our vulnerabilities. So this whole turtle that he's so embarrassed of, it's like it reminded me of like things like even as you grow up as a child, like as an immigrant, coming to a country like Canada and stuff, and there's all these things you want to hide, like you don't want people to know about, and then there's even though there's that one person that's actually accepting of the turtle, uh, he is more concerned with people who actually want he's more concerned about the people who make fun of that turtle. So he doesn't want it to be there. So that whole part where he gets rid of it and stuff, it's like it's crazy, but it's also very like you could understand the emotional world of the film is so connects. It's so easy to connect with because it's expressing so well, like this part where all the shame and things that you want to hide about yourself, you don't want to, even though there might be people who will accept you for who you are, but that need to have to get rid of parts of yourself to be accepted, to be loved, to be appreciated. And of course, he's in the most obvious thing, which is like, yeah, worldwide fame, where it's all about projecting an image.
but it feels like this kind of all of these characters are a bit childlike in a way. How the world
It,
even seems like very childish. When you look at the workplace, for example, they are obviously bullying him. So it's like school where people bully each other, and they've never, even the other people never grew up. So it's kind of like people never grow up. They always have the same desires as they had as a kid, and what we are as a kid, we are as adults as well, or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. That vulnerability and that, um, so I guess I'm jumping a bit, but even with the toys, like the journey of those toys is that I want to go back to the beginning. And so it's like I want a fresh start again. And it's like how many, I mean, you're still uh not even 30 yet. So, maybe you're not as much feeling that as much, but many times like in my life there's you would sit there and think, "Oh, I wish I could just like start all over again." And I would do this or I would do that, or so that kind of renewal, that seeking, like this time, like that part is so emotional where he's like giving them this wish that, I hope that this time it works out for you. And then there's a melancholy there because it's like, it's not going to work out for them. The way the world is, they're going to end up exactly where they are. But it's so touching at the same time too, that someone trying to kind of heal the soul. So it's like the souls of these toys, but it's the souls of people and the souls of their childlike desires and like feelings. Like it's such an emotional movie, actually. Despite being bonkers and entertaining, it's so like touching, like what all those journeys are about.
Yeah, and I actually kind of relate to also to the main character a bit. I wanted to be a musician as a kid, and
Okay.
I played the guitar. I wanted to be like a lead guitarist to a metal band and stuff, and I always imagined myself like in the shows and stuff, and I still have dreams about that, so I kind of feel those regrets now as an adult, when I guess I'm about the same age as the main character, as I'm 27, so that maybe that was something that I should have put in more effort to, that music stuff, and not stopped it and things like that. And then also the fact how, while I always talk about even on my channel how I like to evolve like my taste and stuff, but there are so many things that don't evolve through time, that there are so many things that are still the same as they were as a kid, and many of these interests that we have, the dreams that we have, they go in a circle that sometimes you go back to them, sometimes you go further away from them, but in the end, so many of these things stay the same when you are a kid and then when you are an adult. But still, as an adult, we try to repress those childhood dreams and stuff like that, as it isn't realistic and stuff. But maybe we shouldn't repress it, and maybe we should try to retain that childhood curiosity and those dreams. And I know, for example, in psychoanalysis, we often talk about how creativity equals to that kind of childhood curiosity and that childhood like mentality, that the childhood experience is kind of the ultimate form of creativity in a way. So it kind of also plays a part in this movie, how when this character finds his old dreams, the dreams of being a like great music star and stuff, and then he finds the creativity through that way as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, as you're describing, it's like it's making me emotional, just like you even talking about it, because it's like when I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here because of my childhood. Because when I even collecting these movies and stuff, it's like the joy I feel. It's the childlike, like because like when I was little, I didn't have much comfort, so it was this. I loved movies, so it's like just recording movies on like VHS and then watching them over and over again. So you know whether you picked up like records or CDs and whatnot, it's like that you'd feel this excitement, like this is something like I have, like it's on my shelf, and it's like I know sometimes we sit there and okay, we're talking about some movies that are art house and all that, and we like to think about okay, it's very adult, but what the activity of just like geeking out over movies and all that stuff has everything to do with that childlike like just joy where the world just stops and you're just talking about the thing you love and nothing else matters. But then sometimes I feel self-conscious about it too, because I'm like in the larger world, I'm like if someone saw that they'd be like, what are you doing, like why have you bought all these movies? Like why are you like taking space to like store all these movies? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like this, like the turtle, like it's there, it's giving you your joy de vivre, but it's like you want to hide it too. You're embarrassed of it. You're like, oh, it's gonna make me look silly, or it's gonna make me look ridiculous. Like that kind of insecurity. It's like just portrayed so well in this film.
Yeah, but there's also kind of, yeah, he's living now his childhood dream, but we can see the kind of corruption of the music industry,
Yes, yes.
where when the manager says that, yeah, in a year from now you will say that you will leave the band behind and become your Wild True or whatever his like new name was, and then like we see that yeah, he becomes that type of person who just cares about his own fame and leaves the other people behind, and we see that kind of self-centeredness and stuff that comes with fame. So it's not that perfect childhood dream, but there's that kind of adult corruption there as well. So
Yeah, 100%. It's like the loss of innocence. So it's like a very much like a coming of age film, and that's what I appreciate about it too, because the coming of age is happening when he's like in his late 20s, which we is a perspective we don't always take. We think, oh, coming of age is like in the teens, or and speaking in my own experience too, it's like, oh, you think it's in the teens or it's in the 20s, but really there's a whole like coming of age, even in your 30s and at different points of your life too, so that he is now his dream and him hiding the pure parts of him and all this to enter this world where he feels he's going to be loved and he gets to be this persona and he's going to be admired, but it's such a like corrupt thing, like you said, like the music business, because it's all manipulated. And then they're also showing the hypocrisy there where it's like he's supposedly singing the songs, he's like a rebel artist, he's Wild Ryu, he's like standing up against the system, but he's very much the system, you know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of empty. He's like singing about all these things and then later on going pop and all that. So there are all these elements too that are really well acted, like that manager, very funny as well, like a nice like satire and very hilarious, like how he's teaching him how to like basically manipulate and how his ego keeps growing as the turtle grows, his ego grows. It's like it's fascinating. Yeah.
And there's kind of, I just realized that there's some kind of capitalist commentary there as well when they bring his home to the office.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your life becomes work. Your whole life is work when your home is even at the office. Like, and obviously Japanese work culture is like very toxic, where people like work 24/7 basically. So maybe there's some commentary about that too. But one also completely another thing that I was gonna mention is that I started laughing about the scenes when the main character sees the guitar and it has the turtle. And, pick it on, like it's
Yeah,
so,
pick it
so
on, pick it
funny.
on. Yeah, yeah. And it's like that part is so funny when you said when he gets the new apartment, they're like, "Oh, this is yours." Oh, but I want to go home. I want to go home. And they're like, open the curtains and it's like, "Here's your apartment." But they didn't even move the apartment. They're like, "It cost us a lot of money to reproduce your apartment here." So his like previous apartment's like a small part of this luxury apartment, or luxury for the Japanese context, because it's still quite small from like a North American or maybe standard or something like that. But um, I thought that was so funny too, right? Where they're like, because they reproduce it. They didn't just bring his stuff over, like all this stuff about like just eccentricity and like rock star eccentricity, but also the ridiculousness. Like they didn't even want to bring his stuff over. And I don't know if you saw in the first scene, because the way he gets up, the the coffee table's on his back, so it's almost like he's coming out of his shell, like.
Yeah.
And that whole like newsreel that's going on TV is also hilarious, right? About planning for the Olympics and do kids still connect with sports or do they not connect with it, and all this kind of stuff, and then like the history of the atomic bomb and all that. So there's like actually a lot going on in that film, but it's so made so cleverly woven together and very in an entertaining way.
But now that you said the coming out of the shell, it actually kind of made the thing kind of click on my head, because obviously that's what the film is about, like losing your
Yeah.
repression and coming out of your shell. And that's why there is the third turtle, because it's a reference to a turtle. Like, yeah, so it's kind of obvious in that way. I didn't actually think about that in that way, but it's like the main theme of the film becomes very obvious after you just say that sentence, coming out of your self or
Yeah, it's
shell.
also like this very like, you being afraid of your vulnerability. Like we always associate child state as vulnerability because you're the most vulnerable in a sense physically and emotionally and everything. You're growing, you don't know what makes sense of things. But it's also, yes, it's him afraid of his own vulnerability, right? That's why it's like so funny too when he has these emotional outbursts when he sees the turtle. Oh, pick it on any image of a turtle. Oh, because it's like his vulnerability, like in a way he needs it, but in a way he has to pretend like when he's gets the girls and he's walking around and he puts I just love him as the diva, like him acting like a rock star diva was just like an amazing performance. How he just walked down the street with the shades on and, oh, I got the girl, but like inside he's none of those things. And he's like in this direct conflict between this image he's created and who he really is. and then that craving to just go back to that simpler where he was, like, where he wasn't so bad, but initially it's like all his fears, right? You're a failure, you're not going to go anywhere, this dream of yours is not going to succeed, you're just going to sit there, go to the office each day, do this dead-end job, get bullied by the cool dudes. Like, it's just an extension of high school, right? So
Yeah, it's interesting also the main woman character that we have here with the
yeah,
classes, that she is also very repressed, like how she walks and doesn't talk much and just listening to music on the headphones and being by
yeah,
herself. So we see kind of two sides of different type of repression. So, and
yeah.
also like going back to the turtle as well, there's the funny scene when there's the media with the cameras and then he says to the turtle that give me the lyrics or whatever. Yeah. So he doesn't even hide that anymore at that point.
But he says it like, I'm giving the turtle, I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah.
teleport the lyrics to the turtle, and then the turtle's gonna say it when it's really the opposite. So he's trying to manage his image there too, trying to be very clever. Yeah, it's a good, it's just like, it's a really great movie. Yeah.
It was funny this morning because I was thinking about the movie and then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song came from
It made
Teenage
me think of
Mutant
that as
Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah,
Heroes in a Half Shell.
Yeah, laugh
Heroes in a
at
Half Shell.
stuff as a kid.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's crazy how long Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been around. Yeah, but also the sewer part. So I was like, is he also like being a bit funny with the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because it's like the sewer world and the turtle and everything like that. Um,
At least there wasn't a rat there, like the
yeah,
Master Stick or whatever he is in English. Yeah.
but he was the coolest, the master. He would like teach them everything. Cowabunga, dude. Yeah. There's something else that's like, I was like thinking of it. Oh yeah, it's a really funny movie too. Like, a lot of times, sometimes movies from different parts of the world, it depends where the comedy is going to connect with you or not. But yeah, I just thought it's really funny as well. Even his boss at work, and he's like, "You Jake, gits of music." Like, just
I laughed.
this disdain over his music. He's like, "What peach of music?"
And I laugh when they give him the guitar and then he sings the Picadong song for the first time for an
Oh yeah,
audience. Yeah, that's just probably my favorite scene. Maybe it's just
Pikachu.
and I actually love that song, and it's so fun to sing as well. Like it's fun, simple song. Like I found
It's
like
so funny because
Tokyo
they think,
Olympics and the atomic bomb.
yeah, it's like they think he's like doing this radical thing about like the Tokyo, like about their atomic bomb and all this stuff by saying Picadon, and then he's just like really just singing about his turtle. So that thing is just, that's really funny too.
And they show like those news clips where some of the citizens don't remember who bombed Japan.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So they're gonna show how ignorant maybe the average person is. I mean, they probably aren't that ignorant in Japan, obviously, with their education system and stuff. For America, I could believe that because
Not
like
America.
American
There are
population.
friends. There are friends. They wouldn't bomb us. Yeah. And I think it's like also then there's also the like this part too, because that is always the dialogue, right, about progress. And oh, okay, if you're going to host this big event, then there's going to be this renewal, and then there's this improvement. And then I think there is definitely, like you said, that critique, that economic critique, that societal critique, that oh, it's all about like discarding things. And then a lot of people get forgotten in that process of renewal and advancement and improvement. The people who are unwanted are then swept away or like thrown into the sewers, figuratively, because you don't care about them. You only care about the people who are able to keep up with that progress, or are in certain parts of society that can benefit from that progress, and then everyone else doesn't matter. So I do feel like there's this parallel between the toys and people. Like the toys aren't just toys, the toys are actually people, people who are forgotten, people you just don't care about, people you don't consider when you are moving ahead as a society. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and also more on micro level, when you find success on your own life, you leave your friends behind and
Yes.
family
Yeah.
behind. Yeah, but it's very sad seeing that when the doll is walking on the streets and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
That's
she
really
she
sad.
sees the kid like buying a new similar doll and stuff. Yeah, it's like Toy Story. Yeah. So this film is like a mix of Godzilla, Toy Story, and then some like music film. Yeah,
Yeah, and there has that Godzilla element, right? When he
yeah,
gets big and stuff like that. So it's totally homaging Godzilla when the turtle gets huge, and some of the things that turtle's doing is totally like Godzilla, and also like reptile and reptile. So there are all these little like definitely like little shout outs and homages and all that was so cleverly like kind of put together in its own unique way. Um,
and there's even in the tone there is lots of references to the kaiju movies like Godzilla, like how it's at the same time there's the atomic bomb and
yeah,
some of it is kind of horrific, but some of it's like very goofy and funny at the same time. Like
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
it's horrific when you have like a giant turtle like killing people and stuff, but it looks also funny and stupid at the same time. So the tone is very similar to a Godzilla movie.
The turtle.
And it's funny when he tries to hide the turtle in his apartment from the woman
Yeah,
who comes to visit. And she says that you don't have to hide it, it's cute, but then he throws her away. Like, yeah,
yeah,
no. But
exactly.
then the
Because
turtle escapes to the waters, like from the door. Yeah,
yeah, because we tend to push away people who accept us for who we are, in a way, right? You always chase the thing that, in a way, doesn't want you. I mean, it's like it takes a long time to kind of, yeah, like that, to actually accept that turtle and be like, okay. And the people who appreciate the turtle. So the turtle is such an interesting metaphor through that, running through that whole film, because it represents so many different things. And then, yeah, it's no surprise that at the end, what does the turtle say when the turtle can speak? I am an iceberg. All you see is the surface, but there's so much underneath that you don't see.
but the ending is also very interesting when okay, the turtle is back to being like very small, and then the final shot is like the woman coming there, but she's in the kind of corridor, and they don't like meet again in the apartment. So you kind of have to think for yourself whether they're gonna get together or what they will do after the film, as it doesn't like give like a very straight answer.
Yeah, it's a great ending, because the ending is like it's flipping it, right? Success and being famous and becoming a rock star is usually the dream, but in this film it's the nightmare. So there's this, he goes back to the beginning, and it's almost like, oh, I'm so glad that was like, that's over with. So it's like flipping it. The dream is actually the nightmare, and what you're living is, in a way, the dream. Like that, okay, you get your turtle back, you get to just have your apartment. Like it's, it's okay being you. And so it's touching. Like it's at the end of the day, it's like it's okay being you. So it's just a really kind of, yeah, it's like a nice movie, I would say, like even to watch, the holidays or anytime you want to lift the spirits, because it does give you that feeling. It gives you that, the melancholy elements, the bonkers, like the what's going to happen, the craziness, the great performances, the great music, and then at the end that little, yeah, it's okay being you kind of thing.
This just made me think of like random thing from my childhood. It's probably like 2010 or something. Like we went to swim often in the river, like in the summers, and but there were like flyers around there that a turtle had escaped. Like somebody's like turtle, like home turtle, like a small turtle. Like maybe it was Picador. Like, yeah.
Picador.
Turtles are actually like very interesting animals. How they live so long, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
even
they
though
are.
such giant turtles like live like 100 years or whatever. Like,
Yeah, they've been around forever.
and as a kid, like with cartoons and stuff, it was for me like Digimon was probably my favorite. Then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers, and then Pokemon. Like those four were really
Yeah.
big for me. Like,
Yeah.
although for me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I watched the classic one, but I also watched the one that started in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was growing up, those are the Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe. But then some of the other ones too. I like some of the Disney ones, like Tailspin, DuckTales,
Yeah, I love the duck stuff.
Gummy Bears, Care Bears. Care Bears Countdown. So yeah, no, that's what it is. Growing up.
I even had some of the Transformers comics and stuff like,
Yeah, love the Transformers.
and toys.
Transformers,
Like
so
I
good.
had this big Optimus Prime and
Yeah,
Megatron and
what was it? Bumblebee. I mean Bumblebee. As a kid, you love Bumblebee. Jazz. I had Jazz. I think the Transformer I had was Jazz. You know, the one that turns into a stereo. His name was Jazz.
then in the 2000s Transformers Armada, it's called, like it didn't have Bumblebee, but it had this character called Hotshot, and
Oh,
he
okay.
was also like a yellow kind of Transformer. So I think it was inspired by Bumblebee, but his name was Hotshot.
Oh,
But it
okay.
had like Starscream and
Oh, Starscream. Yeah.
yeah, I loved Starscream. In that.
I like those construction guys, and then they became that mega.
Yeah.
You know, there were all the different construction trucks, and then they would transform and then come together and then become.
And what was that like? The biggest wheel on the planet-sized Transformer, in the space, like
Oh, I don't know.
whatever his name was, like. But he was kind of scary because he was so big. But anyway, like back to Love and Peace. So.
Love and peace forever.
And then they obviously end up like writing other songs as well, like that ballad. And then the lyrics go from like socially conscious to more like love stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows how the music industry also like brutalizes the art in a way.
Yeah, and then after he has that song about friendship, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "We're not singing this song." The band gets like really upset.
But the first time he sings it, he just does it like himself with the acoustic guitar.
Yeah,
And
I
the
love that.
people love it, and like all the people love every song he does.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that the whole thing is so funny about how like the kind of artist they think he is. Like how they see him as this like rebel figure, but he's not. He's so mainstream, right? He's just like every single like pop band, but they just create this illusion that he's like so edgy. But I just love his Bowie, like when he becomes like basically becomes David Bowie, and that's like so great.
Yeah. But then he kind of goes back to himself in the arena. Like he goes absolutely insane when he's walking in the, and yeah, he sees the woman again. And
yeah. Oh, and yeah, the whole thing from the beginning to the end, where because he was set the goals for the turtle, so the turtle finds the arena. The turtle looks over the arena. I love that part. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, but the people don't even see the turtle at first because the music is so loud that he gets to destroy some of it before people even see it. So maybe it kind of shows how kind of people get almost like this cult-like behavior, and then they
Yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah,
about the reality and everything because they just get so transfixed by something like this.
yeah, yeah. Totally, totally, totally. It's all about all those things. Like, and then all his previous people he worked with now are all like love him,
Yeah.
come for his autograph and all that.
Yeah, he goes to like give them the flyers at first, and then they just laugh. But then when they go to the concert, they fall in love with him immediately.
Yeah, that's why it's like a nice flip, like I said, because that's kind of those stories, some of those teen stories too, right? The geek becomes cool and all this stuff, and then all is right with the world. But this flips it because when he becomes cool or whatever, all is not right with the world. In fact, everything is wrong with the world from his perspective. He's in distress. He can't date. He's not dating the girl he actually wants to date. Like everything about his life is not that great, except for that fame and success. So that's just a nice little flip on that trope.
It's gonna be so much fun to talk about other Sono films as well, because some of them are even crazier than this. So,
Okay. Yeah.
like I think Law of Exposure will be the next one, as you already have it. So
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing that. Yeah.
And there's such a big difference to this and the Correa film. Like
Yeah.
kind of
But it
this
was
shows
nice.
like
I watched them together actually the same day. I
yeah,
double. So I actually really enjoyed. It was a very enjoyable day watching both these films. Yeah.
it kind of shows the two of my favorite sides of Japanese cinema.
Yeah.
The column slice of life thing, and then this like absolutely nuts crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun watching them together. Actually.
Is there anything more you want to say about Love and Peace? Or
Not from my side.
yeah,
I think I was curious what kind of discussion we'd have and how it would be, because I was feeling more like with this one, I was like, okay, will we really have the same amount of discussion as we had with like other films? But actually, yeah, we did.
yeah.
We did, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you liked it, as I'm a huge Sion Sono fanboy, and I had a great time watching it again as well. And you will see in the future that he's a very varied filmmaker, as he has made so many different types of films. Even he has this film called The Whispering Star that's also on Third Window, and that's almost like a slow cinema Tarkovsky-like film. So,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So you can make a look at Third Window if you want to pick any of the other ones up. So
Yeah,
hopefully
I
they
will
don't
have a
go
look.
out of print. So yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part with Third Window, right? It's like they can't stick around forever.
Yeah, because sadly, for example, the two Kitano films that I've been talking about on my channel a lot, they have been going, that they went out of print. So
Oh, it's Hanabi was on Third Window before?
yeah, and now it's like out of print, and same with Kikuchiro. So that's really sad.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
And then my favorite Sion Sono film, Why Don't You Play in Hell? Like that's quite hard to get on physical media.
Yeah.
It has Blu-rays, but they are usually really expensive, like regular Blu-rays from the US and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why these that other Obayashi set, the first one that we weren't able to get, but the films from it are now on single release, right?
Yeah.
His motorbike, Her Island.
Yeah.
I think it's School in the Crosshairs and Girl Who Leapt Through Time. And then I think about it. I'm like, should I grab those, because will they go out of print? Because you have them now, but then they might go out of print again. But I will look at the Sono, other Sono films on there, because interesting filmmaker. And I've only seen this, so I don't know where the different places he goes with his films.
But law of exposure is the magnum opus, so we will do that next. So.
Yeah, I remember once even Daisuke was talking about it on his channel as well.
Yeah.
Some time back. So that was on my list for a while, and then I always had you would be mentioning it and stuff like that. So that'll be exciting to watch when we get to that.
But anyway, maybe we should go into Correda now. So
Yeah,
I'm
sounds good.
pretty nervous about this one as it is so subtle and stuff, but we'll see how it goes. So I have it in this PFI box set again of Flesh and Blood, and I mean, I almost said Daisuke has the criterion, but Altaz has the criterion.
What a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy that you see in the cover, he's in quite a few Correda films. So.
Yeah, I recognized it. He's in that one, right? What is it? Against the Storm?
After the Storm.
Oh, After the Storm. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet, but I recognize his face from the cover. I was like, okay, it's the same actor.
And I think he was in some other ones as well, but at least that one. So, yeah.
This is really nicely done, though, by Crichton. I really like the interior, the minimalist, the colors, beautiful.
You can give some general thoughts about Still Walking Now before we get into the serious discussion.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I don't like to use this word loosely, but absolute masterpiece. This film. So, yeah, I loved it. It's a beautiful film, and I actually, though a simplist like you're saying, it's like simple and it's like kind of plotting and what's going on. I felt like there was so much to discuss about the film actually, so I felt the opposite. So let's see what happens in our dialogue.
So this, even though Correda often says that he doesn't like to be called the modern Ozu, but this is such an Ozu-like film from the cinematography to the plot and to the characters. Like, and the cinematography is mostly still shots. There's like really beautiful, calming still shots, but there's little camera movement in a couple of the scenes. And then we even have a train and everything like that. So and the angles are even a bit similar to Ozu. But I love the cinematography a lot, and it's like a very happy looking film, like very bright and beautiful and peaceful. Even though it's in a way a fairly dark film, some of the family dynamics are a bit dark and toxic, especially with the grandpa character. I think how he has this kind of resentment towards his son because he preferred his other son who died when he saved the fat guy, which is like that's the fun scene when the guy is sweating in the table and they are just thinking that why did he save that guy?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like the Ozu thing is there. One thing for me that made it very clear that, of course, this is a student of Ozu is those shots, those famous Ozu shots where you take a shot and none of the characters are in the shot. So it's just a shot of a room in the house or outside or wherever, and it's just sometimes just before or after someone enters the room or after someone exits the room, the camera just sits there for a while. And of course, those are very powerful shots because the environment becomes a character. The thing lived in is telling you a story as well by what you're looking at in the room. But what I like is how it's just because you use that technique does not mean that you use it in the same way. So sometimes there's that belief that, oh, well, that's an Ozu shot, and then he's using this Ozu shot, so he's using the shot in the same way the Ozu's using it. And I didn't get that feeling because I felt like it's its own voice. Because one thing that, of course, I haven't seen everything Ozu, but one thing with Ozu is that it's this stripped down but very proper aesthetic, right? The rooms aren't lived are as lived in. It's a lot of propriety, so everything is in its right place. And of course that creates a nice conflict with what's actually happening beyond that surface in any Ozu story. In this way, we're in a home that's very lived in. So in some ways, the broken tile, the things that the room that's just stuffed full of things from the past. So it's a different world. It's like using some of those techniques, but it's a different world, and then it tells you a whole different story and creates a whole different experience. And each of those shots tell you something, and it's just it's amazing how that kind of filmmaking just puts me in awe, like how you can tell stories and things that are going on without dialogue, instead by using shots and all that in combination, they start telling you more than just what's going on.
Yeah, and in this film, like you talk about that Ozu films, maybe they aren't as lived in, but obviously this film, like the home just feels so, it has so much personality and it feels like a home, like, and all the moments in the different rooms and stuff have like importance, like when they have taken the stuff to the storage and everything. That kind of says a lot about the relationship that they had with the other son that had passed away, and the music has a big role in it. It shows that even this old couple, they have some love left and some emotion left. So there's actually lots of important things that are kind of part of the home in this film.
Yeah, and while I was watching it, I wanted to shout this out too, because it's something you said in your Snobbery videos, and you said that when you watch something and then you are reminded that we're similar. So seeing this family dynamic, everyone coming home with all the subtext, the conflicts, the history, and all that, yet you're still coming together as a family. You still enjoy each other's company to an extent. They still represent something for you. Um, you're also returning back to memories. You're connected to what we're saying in the previous week, to a child world that where you grew up in, and then the importance of that food when you're celebrating, and sharing the food everyone likes. And it's like I could see my family. I could see our get-togethers. I could see our like long weekend, and then it's like everyone gets together and all that, and that dynamic where there's all those same things going going on, because everyone has their own interpretation, has their own story. And so I'm like, this is what SJS said, this is the perfect example. Anyone can watch that and can see their family in it, and then that shows you that worldwide, at the core of it, the human experience is something shared. It's not different. So yeah, I wanted to shout out that that point you made, because this is the perfect example of that.
Yeah. For me, it's a bit harder to relate to, as I don't have any siblings, obviously, because here, like the sibling dynamic is very important. Although I had kind of like a stepbrother for a while when my father found a new woman after my mother when they divorced, and like that woman had a son who was 2 years older than me, so we were kind of like stepbrothers for a while. But other than that, I cannot really relate to the sibling dynamic. And also, again, as I lived some of my time at my father's place and some at my mother's place, that kind of traditional family unit, I cannot also relate to that well either. So, but I can see some things that I can relate to, like lots of the underlying resentment there and those complex emotions and lots of the things that you don't say out loud, but you can kind of sense when you are with your family, and things like that I can really relate to. And also there's of course the conversation here that whether you should follow on your parents' footsteps, as the grandpa is like a doctor and then the son is also they talk about whether like he should have become a doctor or whether he wanted to become a doctor, and then also the small kid is like, yeah, I maybe want to be a doctor or a piano tuner, and so there's that kind of very traditional conversation about like professions and stuff.
Yeah, it's like another thing that you would mention in your videos about empathy and even self-empathy. This film is like, you show the different characters, but as you delve into each of their experiences, their struggles, or where they are not fully being understood about what they are struggling with in them, or what their perspective is and what their struggles are, it's like your heart breaks at different points in the film for each and every character. And that is a part that's just really uh, powerful in that film, because it's like everyone has a story. It's not that we are just going to stop here with the son's conflict with his father, or gaining his father's acceptance, or how he's been affected by his father's disappointment in him for not following his footsteps. But then we're also going to go into the world of the father, like that one scene, and there are many like different scenes that are just so poignant. But that scene near the end, where he's just standing there, and that lady is taken ill across the way, the ambulance has come, and he's no longer a practicing doctor, the father, but he still is like, okay, I'm trying to be of use, because that's his whole world. And the son, the camera goes on the son, and we see that the son is just watching the father going through this struggle of even going to the ambulance and asking, oh, what's our heart rate, what's this, what's that, like trying to be a doctor, like I was a doctor, and the world has forgotten him. It's almost like you could see in the son that he's starting to understand a little bit about what the world might be from the perspective of his father, or why this was so important to him. And without dialogue, and it just resonates, and it's just such a real moment. Or there's that other moment where it's like about the song, and then the song's still walking, and the father being in the taking a bath, and the mother coming in, and oh, when did you first hear this song, and all that stuff, and the way she says it, there's this, he's now aware of. So it's all about people becoming a little more aware and judging a little less. Initially there's a lot of judgment, and then there's sometimes a little more awareness. I'm not saying perfect awareness. No one comes together and says, oh, there's a realization and now we go into the sunset. But there's people's awareness of each other is increasing. It's really touching.
Yeah, there are many moments when we viewers maybe kind of, I don't want to say, hey, hate is too strong word here, but kind of dislike the old couple and things they say, like again the resentment of the grandfather, and then the grandmother character, like how she almost tries to manipulate like the son and his new girlfriend, and the son that, yeah, maybe you shouldn't get a new child and things like that. When they say that, it sounds very manipulative and toxic and controlling, but then there are many of those scenes when you understand where they are coming from, and that they are also human and have the same emotions. And also the one of the powerful scenes with the grandmother is the butterfly scene, when the butterfly comes to the home, and you see just how broken she is, that she lost her first son and things like that, and how that kind of loss and memories of him, just how hard it is to let go of that, and how that changes a person for forever and everything. So yeah, it's a really touching and sad scene.
Yeah, it's like at the moments, like you're just met with two feelings. One, you're in awe at the bravery and the strength of people with their struggles, the everyday people with their struggles, but then going forward in life, so still going forward in life, still walking in a sense. And then at each different moments you want to cry for like the different characters. You just want to sit with that character and like basically like cry for them, for their pain or what they've had to deal with, or their struggle, or their, you know, how they're being misunderstood. And that's just like an incredible thing to achieve when you think about what a film is at the end of the day. It's actors, it's a camera, it's sets, it's this, it's a script, it's that. But to create that, it shows how powerful and impactful this medium can be, but how it can improve your own awareness of so many things relating to yourself and others. But also, like, there's that one thing where it's like, says, "Oh, human beings are scary." You know, like human beings are scary, and that made me think of Ozu again too, because Ozu is this very proper world. Everything is neat, like you said, not as doesn't seem that lived in. Everything is neat. Everything's in its place. Everyone is very polite. No one is aggressing against each other. No one is yelling at each other and all that. But underneath the surface, there's this darkness at times. There are these challenges. There are these dark feelings and all that. And in the same way, it's this family get together. And in a way, it's nice, and it's supposed to be joyous, and it's supposed to this. And underlying all that is all the darker, like what you're saying about grandparents, like their, ways, like the grandmother's trying to manipulate or insult the son's new wife, who is essentially a widow with son, and like that. So you see like the darker elements, and then you see the touching elements where the grandfather is, trying to encourage a grandchild that's not his blood grandchild, but he's like, yeah, you should think about becoming a doctor. So it's like he feels that kinship with a child that's not biologically connected to his family in a way. So yeah, these two worlds that we all live in.
And you alluded to this a bit earlier, but the grandfather character, he kind of lost his identity in a way when he had to retire from the doctor job, and also he wanted the other son who died to kind of carry on his mantle, and then the grandfather could have lived through that son and still kind of find meaning through that son that died. But then when he lost the son, lost his profession as he got too old, he just cannot be himself anymore. He cannot be touched. He doesn't have the touch to his real personality and his strengths and everything, because he just cannot do that anymore. And there's even that music scene when they ask him like what type of music you like, and jazz and classical, but then they say that he doesn't really listen to that anymore. So he has even lost that part of himself a lot, that he just kind of lost himself as he got older. So that's obviously very sad. And when you think about that, it's very understandable that he has that resentment.
Yeah, and then there's like, like funny parts. There's some things that are like kind of funny too, that happen, but no, I was think of one, but I forgot. Maybe I'll come back later. But when you were talking about also that scene where the guy who was saved by the son, who unfortunately, in the process of saving his life was lost, like the cruelty there, right? The humor, like the humor in a way, when she's kind of like making fun of him, like it's dark. I'm not saying it's PC, but part of it is almost like there's a part of you that's like, okay, it's kind of funny, but then it just then switches to the cruel. Like it's just cruel. It's just painful. It's just the guy's uncomfortable, and she just wants to keep him on the hook. And then you're like, how she's been harmed in her life, which you don't even learn about till later. But seeing her act so cruelly makes you feel so angry at her. Like, why are you such a cruel woman? Like, why, you're not being nice. So it's like our own judgments rising and then our own judgments releasing. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, it was like that for me too. That again, I laughed at that scene, but it was cruel at the same time. And again, I'm a humanist. I try to always think that every single human life has the same value as the other human life. So, but you start thinking that maybe if the son was gonna be a doctor and help other people, and would have been better if he didn't save this guy. And
the one who's in marketing.
Yeah,
I'm in marketing.
Yeah, the marketing was that he was like taking flyers to other people. So.
And then like, at least you have your health. And he's like, that's true. I have my health. And clearly, like, anyways, I don't want to say mean things, but like, it's just, I think the way it can channel that meanness of the human spirit, but then also like the nicer parts of the human spirit is just so.
And he brought the desserts to the home, but then he ate them himself. Like he was gonna like bring the cake as a gift to the family, but then they say that he ate it himself.
But even the sister at one point when she leaves her father's like study, and then she was just like, he's so petty. Like, you know, that when she's just like, he's so petty, like yeah. But even her husband was funny. Oh, I can't stand still. I have to go around. I have to do all these things. And then he just ends up like napping for most of the day. Like, I'll fix the tiles for you. It's like every family. Like, I don't know. In my family, I don't know if it's every family, but my family, that kind of stuff all the time. Like everything in that, I was like, I could relate to. I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that. Like the big talk, and oh yeah, we're gonna come and don't worry, we'll fix it. Then at the end of the day, you just eat and then you just take off without having done anything. Like
that was even with my landlord in London. Yeah, I'm gonna fix this and that. Yeah, always so kind in person, but then he didn't do anything that he promised. Like, yeah, leaking roof the whole year. You said that you were gonna fix it. No. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had some even in Peterborough. I had some crazy thing like that. Like there was this leak, and then the whole like basically bathroom ceiling was like crumbling. It was crazy. So like and then they still don't do anything. Oh yeah, it's coming. We're gonna come fix it. It's like.
Yeah, it's so crazy from my Finnish perspective because we really don't have anything like that. Everything always works like things, and the buildings are built so much better and with better stuff. Yeah, it was such a shock to me in the UK how like every home has mold and everything is just awful. Cardboard walls and stuff.
Yeah. It's so true.
Like this wall behind me is like proper stone and stuff, so it's very, very different.
Yeah. But I think here also the weather really does damage, especially with the older buildings because their ventilation and stuff is like off.
But anyway. Still walking.
That was a nice digression too. Yeah. But yeah, what else about the film? I don't know. Like it's just poetic. Like all the different scenes whether they go to the cemetery, just those shots of the outside when they are walking, or they're going to the cemetery. It's so beautiful. Like you said, it's just so. You don't want to leave. You know, at that thing where it ends, and they're getting on the bus. You kind of like you don't want it to end. And it's so sad at the end, like the melancholy. They're like, they'll be back for 6 months, and they're like, yeah, I don't think there's any need to go back. Oh, that part is so like crushes you.
And I really like the grandfather's performance. He plays that kind of anger really well. That he isn't like shouting or anything, but like you see his like face and he's looking up a little bit and everything. Like it just looks that there's that resentment under there and everything, and boredom and anger.
he only shows up to eat, and then he gets. And yeah, part of me could relate to him because it's like, in a way, I admired him for how he just got away. He's like, I'm not dealing with this. Just come to eat the fritters, and then just the corn tempura.
And it's so awkward when they leave the grandfather and his son to the table, and the other family goes to look at the pictures, and then they have to try to have a conversation, and they just shut up for a while, and then they start talking about like mural restoration or whatever.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I just admired the son's like wife so much. Like, she was taking so much because she was getting like insulted like left, right, and said this tension, and the way she was like managing the whole. I was just like admired. I almost thought of like your video where you're like characters you fall in love with, like that. I was like, wow, like I was just in like just
Yeah.
admired. Like I was like the strength and the will, and then and she was trying to keep everything to, which was amazing, right? Because she was new to the world, but she was trying to help the son as well and trying to keep the cordial with the. And I was like, I felt for her. I was like, man.
It's funny when the grandfather says, I can listen to stuff up to the Beatles, and fuck this rapping shit. Yeah, I don't like that. And then the woman says, yeah, I agree. Yeah, rap is awful.
Yeah, such great moments, and it totally makes you hungry. That movie, all the food. You're like, oh, I love Japanese food, so I'm like, oh my god, like I just want to be sitting there eating all this food.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one of my favorite things about Japanese films and anime and manga and stuff, that it's so much about food. We always see these food scenes and everything looks just so beautiful aesthetically.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just the way he choreographed. And I just realized like this is my first choreo. I've never seen any other choreo film yet, so this is the very first. But I think yes, that God, the picturization, but yeah, all the stuff like the food, the music, the relationships, the people. I was like, wow, like this is incredible. Like what, this is so great. Like this is a film like I could watch like yearly. Like I just watch it once a year. It's just a place you love to just go and visit and sit there for a while. And
Yeah, and it kind of made me again really want to go to Japan again. Even this like it's like this random neighborhood, like for normal people and everything, but it just looks so peaceful even at those places and harmonious. And I just looking forward to the day when I can go to Tokyo and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, the ramen, street food ramen and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Food wise, there's so much. Well, culture wise, food wise, everything. Nature.
Yeah, I just heard recently that Tokyo has the most Michelin star restaurants in the whole world. So. Even more than Paris and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm sure you all saw that documentary that they had, right? Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
I don't think I have seen that actually. No.
Oh, you'll love that.
Yeah.
It's about this guy. It's like he's with a Michelin star. I think it's Michelin star, right? Sushi. And he's like his whole life has been dedicated to like this like perfect sushi. Like it's like you'll love it. And it's at a point where he's trying to like think about his legacy and passing on to his son and all this like. Yeah, you should. Yeah, Jiro Dreams of Sushi. You'll love it. I'm sure you will because it's. If you love Japan and you love Japanese food and all this kind of stuff and the culture, and it's like all these things coming together.
And there's this Criterion film called Tampopo, which is all about like food and stuff. So yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I do have that one. I haven't watched it yet though.
Yeah.
That movie was even mentioned in my favorite sitcom, Frasier. Yeah. Not the new one, not the new reboot, but Frasier, the original. There's this one where he's like his girlfriend's like telling him, it's like, yeah, well, yesterday you got to pick the film and we watched Popo. So I really want to see Popo when I get a chance.
Maybe we will talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that's the help the podcast is giving me. It's like it's like making me, come on, let's go.
Getting through the backlog, 2 films at a time. So.
Yeah, which is not fast enough, to be honest. But it actually inspires me, and then I try to watch other as well. Sometimes I feel strange because all I want to do on the weekend is just sit and like watch 3 movies.
Yeah.
Like 3 movies a day. That's all I want to do. Just sit on the couch, 3 movies a day.
Now you should be all about the hockey as it is playoffs. But yeah.
Vancouver.
I mean, the Carolina game is today at 7 p.m. UK time and 9 p.m. my time.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the weekends they are sometimes earlier, but obviously Vancouver is a bit different as it is in the 8-hour difference for you and 10 hours for me.
Yeah. Those Vancouver games are like 3 in the morning. This one was 12:30 in the morning, game 3, which I haven't watched yet, but hopefully I'll watch it. But yeah, I can't watch all the games, right? Because during the weekday and stuff, I don't get the time. But and then also with the movies, but I'll try to watch this game.
We can do in the end of the podcast predictions that who are gonna be in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. As it goes, because we're gonna be kind of going along with it. So
But back to Korea for a little bit. So I think that as you like this film, you will definitely like the other ones that we are gonna talk about as well. I think next it is gonna be Mapo Roshi or Like Father, Like Son. So
all right, yeah.
It's good that you have them already, so I can recommend them.
Yeah, I'm like pretty well stocked for Koreeda. I think just I don't have some of his newer stuff. Like, what is it? Our Little Sister and like Shoplifters and Monster. I can't wait till Monster comes out on Blu-ray. Want to see Monster? Yeah.
Shoplifters I actually saw in the cinema in London. So,
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, in Canary Wharf. So.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, and then in June we got Perfect Days coming as well, so I'm very excited for that.
Both on movie and then on Criterion. So.
Yeah, I already want to watch it again.
Yeah, it's the perfect films are the ones where nothing happens. So
It's so great. I love, just like you. It's funny that we we will appreciate that. I don't know. There's something about it. Like doesn't have to happen. Just sitting there in that world, just going. I love that stuff. Like watching people do like daily things, like whether they're like chopping vegetables, and this is why I love John Dillman so much too. I just like she was doing the potatoes, and so I was like just sitting there watching her do it. I'm like, like there you go. I mean.
It was funny on Thursday when I had lunch with one of my university friends at the university, and he asked that, "Have you seen Dune 2 already?" And I said that I haven't even seen the first one, and then I said that I'm not that interested, and he laughed at, "Yeah, it's too mainstream for you." Yeah.
Too mainstream, and it has Timothée Chalamet. So.
Yeah, I need Kyle MacLachlan. So,
and I don't like. I don't want to go on diatribe about Dune, but the reason I haven't felt interested in watching it is it's too. When you read the book, it's like very gritty, and I feel like the grittiness doesn't come across yet, right? So it's like when I see how Villeneuve, like how he's picturized it, it seems too like clean. Whereas in the Lynch version, I liked the look and everything, but I'm like sad that okay, they didn't allow him to actually make the film he wanted to make. So it seems too much like a highlight reel from the book, the Lynch version. But yeah, this one I don't feel keen to watch it because I don't think it gives that. There are points in the book where they talk about the way they conserve water. So they're wearing these sweatsuits. So of course there's there's a scent to that. Like it doesn't feel like that when it looks all slick, blockbuster-ish. Where they're wearing the costume. You don't get the you don't get you don't get that feeling that I feel that the story has when you read it. So that doesn't excite me to go see it. I love the story, so sometimes I feel like, oh, I'd love to go back into the world of the story and see it in film form, and maybe it is good, but then I just kind of look at it visually, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. It looks really nice, but it doesn't look like the Dune that I felt I saw when I was reading the book.
Yeah.
But, that's my diatribe on Dune.
Yeah. We always go off topic so much. Like last time it was 20 minutes about 50 Cent.
Yeah, I always go off topic. I have a hard time with that. My brain works with like, this thread goes here, that thread goes here, so it's like, yeah, sorry.
And that's how we are always in the after talks as well.
Yeah. I go all over the place. Yeah.
But maybe we'll sum up. Still walking now, so.
What else can we say about Still Walking? I mean, I kind of refrained from talking about the beats of the film because there are so many things that I loved and I would love to talk about. I often don't go, okay, this scene, because those are the beats of the film. But yeah, like obviously that scene where she goes and puts the record on and, plays the song and they're at the dinner table. Like there's so many of those scenes that are just so wonderful that I would love to sit there and talk about each scene. Like remember this scene, or this scene, or this scene. But then I feel like that's not really great for the podcast or like dialoguing, right? No one wants to hear you talk about this scene. Oh, this scene. Oh, this scene. Like that.
I remember in the Sopranos discussion, like, we are with the Vipers. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, like constant like ramble that has nothing to do with this. But, yeah. But I think this is like a very good example of Koreda's visual style and also the style of the story. That very simple stories, all about families and family dynamics and relationship dynamics. And also he's known for like getting like good performance out of the children, and you see it here
yeah.
too, like especially the boys. Very, very nice performance.
Yeah.
You can feel that he's quite confused about many things, but it's also funny when he laughs with the fat guy, for example. Yeah. Like he has his hands like this. It reminds me of so many things because I often laugh at situations when you shouldn't laugh and have to be
Yeah,
like
and you
this.
can't help it. Like, how can you not? Like when the adults are making fun and like all that, like, and I could really relate to the kid. I even said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, I was that kid. Like, I'd rather sit with the adults than to like when they go, oh, go play with the kids. Like, I would rather just sit at the table with the adults and listen to like what's going on there." So I could like really relate.
Yeah, it's better when the adults talk about GPSs and washing machines. It's easier to relate to that as a kid.
But yeah, there are so many great moments where they like start like basically playing like piñata with like the watermelon. You don't see it happening.
Yeah.
The grandfather gets upset. He's like, "Don't do that to the watermelon."
Yeah. It's funny that you said piñata as it relates to one of my recommendations.
Anyway. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm getting very curious. Yeah. Because they're going to be 3. So I got my work
Yeah, but
cut out
it
for me.
relates to the music recommendation actually.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, I'm really curious.
But anyway, still walking like I don't know what else to say.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
Except watch this masterpiece.
Well, I sum it up like this: that it's like a perfect example of that certain type of minimalism, naturalism, and simpleness and subtleness. But in the end, even though it's that subtle and simple, it still has so much complexity to it and so much themes to it. So often these films that have very simple plot are actually way more meaningful than the Nolan films that have complex plot but no themes at all. So
Yeah. That's true.
and
Yeah,
this
for
is what
me, I would. Yeah, go ahead.
and this is what me and Tony always talk about as well. That we like these simple plots but complex themes type of films more than the complex plot and simple themes. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because it's simplest. Just because something appears simple doesn't mean it's simple. Like, I think there's a language, and I can understand your apprehension with talking about this because there's something that's resonating deeply, and there's a lot that resonates deeply as you watch the film. It's just not everything is not. It's not easy to express exactly uh, all those things that you're experiencing as you're watching it. But yeah, for me, this would be an example of what I would, for me, feels like a perfect film. I'm like, this is a perfect film. Like, I have nothing to critique about it.
Yeah, same here, but it's not even my favorite Koreeda film, but still it's
Yeah,
absolutely perfect. Like I think Like Father, Like Son is probably my favorite, or nobody knows, but we'll see after we watch them again. Yeah, I think Like Father, Like Son, you will really love that one. It's just so emotional and great and relatable in many ways.
yeah. What it means to be human, yeah. What it means to be in a family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that you liked both of the films. So another
Oh yeah,
success.
and the one thing I didn't say, which I did want to say, or I thought I would say, is that it's also interesting because um, we're at a time of change in the film. So it's like there's a change now, right? That the grandparents are saying this divorcee thing in a particular way, and he's even responding and saying, "Oh, look, like the times have changed. Like it's not. We don't see that. No one sees it like that anymore." And that again made me think of Ozu films because Ozu films are taking place at a time of change as well, and he is also embarking on those themes of change and then different generations not totally being in line with the change. Uh, and the strife it causes and the tensions it causes. So I thought that that's also an Ozu. There's that Ozu connection there too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an Ozu-like film in
Yeah,
all of the ways, basically. But not to the point that it's like plagiarism or anything, but
yeah,
it has its own voice as well. But you see the influence.
yeah.
And I watched this Mikio Naruse film very recently, Sound of the Mountain, that I ended up loving on the Criterion channel, and
Okay,
that's actually fairly similar to this one as well. So
okay. I'll note that down. I'll add that to my wish list or watch list
yeah,
because I haven't seen any Narusa. So
but yeah, glad you loved them. So 6
yeah.
episodes, 12 films already. So time flies when you're
Picadon.
having fun. Yeah.
Thank you, Picadon. Thank you for your recommend. Like he got all his lyrics from Picadon. Here I get all my movie recommendations from Picadon. Picadon.
Movie recommendations, burning questions, and music
Yeah,
recommendations.
yeah.
But I
Actually, I
guess,
had a question for you and then I forgot it.
well, yeah, you can ask it later when we are still recording. Yes, there are a few
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
seconds if it
If I
comes to your mind.
yeah, if I remember again, but yeah. we can
Maybe
move
we'll
on.
do the new recommendations now.
Yes, let's do it.
Well, I have 2 of these on physical media, but I'm gonna start with the one that I don't have, but I will watch it through other means. So it's A Bittersweet Life by Kim Ji-woon, the
Okay.
Korean action film that you got on DVD recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. It's also one of Solitary Ronin's like big favorites as well. So yeah, it's
Okay.
great movie.
All right. Korean action.
Very brutal stuff, but yeah.
I like Korean brutalism.
And then the next recommendation is actually our first animated movie. It's A Silent Voice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's exciting. Yeah, that's exciting.
And by the way, I'm recommending that with original Japanese audio and English subtitles and not the dubbing. So
Oh, yeah, of course not. No, I don't. I don't like the dubbing if I can avoid it. Yeah.
so
I don't like that on
this,
Netflix either. When they
yeah.
switch it to the English dub, it looks so. It doesn't seem right.
Yeah, so this is one where there is so much to talk about. So yeah, it'll be great.
All right. Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. Those are exciting choices as well.
And then the third one,
Oh
this
yeah.
is very exciting as well.
Bonus.
This one actually have an old DVD for this, but you got this on Blu-ray. It's Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. Yeah. My Arnold blind spot.
And then if you end up liking it, we can do the sequel at some point too. So.
All right. Yeah. The Destroyer. I think that's available as well here on a
Yeah,
normal Blu-ray release. Yeah.
so that
Or I
will
would
be-
just rent it. I'm not against streaming, so just wanted to clarify that.
But that was one of my favorite movie of all time when I was a kid for a while. Conan the Barbarian. So.
Yeah, someone needs to get you the Arrow 4K of both.
Yeah. And if somebody could release From Paris with Love on 4K Steelbook, it would be great. I've been thinking about that movie still so much. Like, I've been in a mood for that type of stuff.
Not leaving without my cans, man.
Yeah, with cheese.
Oh man.
Yeah, but those are the recommendations. So the interesting mix. Animated film about bullying, and then Conan the Barbarian and the Korean action. So it's actually kind of stuff that is, you could say, traditionally very entertaining stuff. So okay, fast-paced stuff where much happens. So
Okay.
yeah,
We'll
pretty plot heavy movies. So kind of different to Still Walking in that way.
All right.
Conan the
Switching gears.
Barbarian even has James Earl Jones as the villain. So, Darth Vader, yeah.
Yeah.
Mufasa.
Mufasa. Yeah. Mufasa.
Yeah, I love his voice. But anyway, I think it's time for the music discussion, then after that music recommendations, and then after that NHL predictions, I guess. Yeah, I've sometimes wanted to do those like brackets for my channel, but then I think nobody watches hockey that watches my channel because all of my viewers are like Brits basically. So, and British people don't really care about ice hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I follow the whole NHL a lot, so I could easily do those like bracket challenges and things like that. Because I know the teams.
You're going to end up having a hockey channel like those guys, and then
Yeah.
talk about the different teams.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so I recommended to you last time a soul album actually. Minnie Riperton's Come to My Garden, a big favorite of mine. So what did you think of it? Did you like it or not?
Oh yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I really liked it. Yeah, it's a great album, and like I said, like Soul is a bit of a blind spot. Like some of the mainstream, okay, I've listened to, but not so. Yeah, it was really nice to listen to this album, and I really enjoyed the experience of listening to it. It helped me experience a different side of music, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, as always, I can give some biographical info. I think it's a good part here. So the album came out in 1970. I think it was her first kind of album, and she did a few others, but this is kind of the one that's like critically acclaimed. It wasn't like a commercially successful when it came out, but it has again gotten that critical acclaim. After that, Minnie Riperton sadly died quite young in her early 30s, in the late 70s. Like a big tragedy when she had like one of these one in a million type of voices that again such a range and such a beautiful voice that again it just really hypnotizes me every time I listen to it, and it's just so beautiful. Even though like the one criticism I have for this album is some of the lyrics are a bit cringy, like in the second song, Completeness, for example, like be tender, my love, I need you, my love, and it just sounds so cringy and simple in a way, but I love her voice even when she sings those slightly cringy lyrics.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that because I heard you say that in one of the videos as well about the lyrics. And generally, I would be critical of, I guess, lyrics that I would say, okay, are cheesy and stuff. I didn't experience them like that in this, even in Completeness, because it's like, yeah, I feel like you have to like think of it in context. Like when someone is like not used to or hasn't been given agency by society to actually seek those kinds of things, them singing about it, there's a feeling like I think sometimes like we, for certain people who go through life, you have a lot, not just trauma, but you're very hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Life is very hard on you. There are all these struggles. So there's something beautiful about her reclaiming that, giving herself the agency to experience that softer side, or to ask for that kind of care, or not, roughness, um, because that's kind of maybe common as the kind of behavior you might receive. Um, so I felt the thing had a real transcendental quality. It really calmed me listening to the music, and even listening to the lyrics. I really enjoyed that. Like though, like I agree with you, they're simpler lyrics. They're not about complex things, but it was nice to be, teleported and like to that kind of world where you get a bit of a relief from all the complexity and the intensity and the challenges
Yeah.
the world can have. And I think it's even more poignant given what her world must have been like, even more of that, and her creating something of such beauty and refuge that someone can go to for a while and see themselves differently. And
Yeah, and of course soul music is known for these types of lyrics oftentimes, and they do fit the sensual vibe of the music as well, and all the insane, very lush orchestral arrangements and stuff. The lyrics fit that really well, and then there are these like very peaceful moments when she does that like very high singing where she isn't even saying a word, but she's kind of
yeah,
like, I don't know how to explain it, but it kind of would fit like
yeah,
a
yeah, I do
Sergio
exactly.
Leone film even, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and I actually looked at the Wikipedia article for this a bit, and because I've always said when I've talked about this that the first song I had heard before I ever listened to this album, the Le Fleur song,
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah, that's great.
it was for example on Inherent Vice, and that film I had seen before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
had seen
I've
that.
never seen that film, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's not very very good film in my opinion, but yeah, I'd heard it there, and I think it was also, for example, in the Atlanta TV show that Donald Glover
Oh,
does. I've watched some of it. It's actually really cool.
yeah,
So
I do like Atlanta. Yeah. So that's why it sounded familiar, like I've heard it before, and I have watched Atlanta, but I've only seen first 2 seasons. So I'm like, I wonder if I heard it in one of the episodes. But yeah, what a beautiful song. And this like this vibe you're talking about, like sensual vibe and soul, and like, I mean, it depends on the singer, and sometimes it's a little more like sexual, right? It's sensual, but it's more emphasized on the sexual aspect. Whereas I really like this, where it's like it's sensual, spiritual. That I felt.
yeah,
Uh, it has both. It's like the sensual with the spiritual, which I think is very nice. Also very refreshing, and also helps you connect with sensuality in a different way. Whereas in sometimes sensuality is so overtly about just like being sexual that it's like it's only connecting this way versus it's not connecting the other way towards something more spiritual, more transcendental. Sensuality leading to spiritual awareness, and even almost like a transcendental, like you're transcending some, you know, some things. You're going into a different kind of state of mind. So really beautiful album. There's so many tracks I just like. I left the whole album, and then like so many tracks I just absolutely fell in love with.
yeah. I especially love the first few tracks. They are just so perfect, and the whole album has that kind of Disney soundtrack, kind of whimsical, bit over the
Yeah,
top type of thing. Love
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. It does. It does, but it's such a nice, because when I started listening to it, it's obviously springtime and everything like that. So just I was listening to outside, like walking, like listening to on headphones, and then the springtime and the spring air and the lyrics and the sounds and all that. That really like made, and the idea, the whole "Come to My Garden," the albums, like, about all these things. Uh, like it just, I was like, this is so perfect. Like right now, like just listening to this and this moment and this being in this season and everything, seeing the flowers. And I was like, I could just, I was all immersed. It felt all immersive into the world of the album.
And I
And
usually prefer this type of soul to the more kind of blues-based soul.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like this kind of orchestral instrumentation more than the bluesy type of thing. But I can get down with that as well. But this I just absolutely love the album, even like instrumentally. It would be a great listen with all the
yeah,
horns and the strings and everything. It
yeah,
just sounds so lush and beautiful.
yeah. The composition uh, is really great. The production is obviously, the singing is really great and all that, but the composition, the production, but even the sonics, like sonically, it sounds really great. So it's the quality of the production is it's really, 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 really nice. It's really top tier. Really special album, actually.
Yeah, this came out around the kind of golden age of soul, at least golden age to me. So late 60s was really great, and early 70s, like the Curtis Mayfield stuff, Marvin Gaye
No,
stuff,
yeah,
Isaac Hayes, and all of them were working at this time. And
yeah, yeah. But it's a sad too that you know, she passed away at such an early age.
yeah, yeah, it was breast cancer. So obviously back then they didn't know how to treat it as well as they do now. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a tragedy.
and I've listened to a couple of her other albums that came after this, which are also good, but this is definitely the peak. Because this is
Yeah,
like great front to back, but the couple other albums were that they had some really great songs, but they didn't flow as well, the albums. So yeah,
mm, yeah. This one is definitely feels very complete.
yeah,
Yeah, the theme is very clear uh, in the whole album, which is also nice, right? Because
yeah,
in modern music, you don't always get the benefit of that, like one vision for an album,
yeah,
really. That's kind of going away. Whereas in this is so nice. It's like one expression, one body of work, and then you can just go from beginning to end, and you can feel the connection between the songs and what that thing is about and where it's trying to take you. So yeah.
Yeah, the garden was in a great order. All the flowers were where they were supposed to
Yeah,
be. Everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that first track, and even inside every man there's a flower. So it's like all about your potential. Or like,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like those lyrics. Like,
And
yeah,
I could
I'll
really
see.
see this as like a movie soundtrack, like for many type
Yeah.
of movies. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear the song, yeah, in my head right now.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, it's a great album.
Anyway, we went from classical to free jazz to soul and next to hip hop, so it's great mix of stuff.
Let's see.
Yeah. So maybe we'll do the recommendation now.
Yeah, I'm very curious what it's
So you
gonna
actually
be.
mentioned the word piñata earlier, but it's actually the name of this album. So it's by Freddie Gibbs and Madlib.
I have like never really listened to any Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. This is
But
exciting.
this
And I
was
don't
like
think
pretty
I've
much,
listened.
yeah, this
Sorry,
was
go
pretty
ahead.
much like an instant classic when it came out in 2014. It's kind of that fairly classic sounding gangster rap type of stuff. With Madlib's
Okay.
great beats and Freddie gives this kind of chill flow that goes really well with it. And it has great features like Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan and
Oh, it has right one.
Danny Brown is on one song, which is about smoking weed. So obviously it has to have Danny Brown. Yeah, even though he has been sober for over a year now, so kudos to him. But yeah, and it has some other features as well, but it's great, like hour-long album with great beats, great rapping, everything.
Yeah, and I don't think I've listened to much. I don't know if I've ever listened to any Madlib production, to be honest. I know he's a very well regarded producer, but it's like I've never gotten around to like a lot of Madlib's work. So I think you've picked like you picked the exact combination I sort of expected, saying, okay, yeah, SJS, you can recommend some hip hop because I know you listen to some hip hop that's like I have never listened to, or types of hip hop I have never listened to. So this is the exact kind of blind spot
Yeah,
I have because everyone knows Gangster Gibbs and loves him, but like I don't.
yeah.
I only learned about him like recently. I was like, who's Freddie Gibbs? And he's from the Midwest, right? So it's like Midwest rap, Madlib's a producer I don't know much about like that. So this is exciting, yeah.
Yeah. And this is their first album together, but they did another one, I think 2019 with Bandana. It's really good as well. But I like this one more.
That's why even when you said the album's titled Pinata, I couldn't think. I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, I had no idea because yeah, it's a major blind spot for me. So
But it's fairly like regular sounding hip hop. It's not like abstract or experimental stuff, but it's
yeah, yeah,
great fun.
yeah.
So it will be interesting to talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about the lyrics a little bit and the production and everything when we get
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it for art related things, but maybe we'll talk about hockey for a little bit. So you are a Vancouver fan, and I'm kind of like a weird type of sports fan that I don't like get that attached to teams. I kind of like to follow the whole league and like all the like who scores the most points and goals and things like that and records and everything. But I have like preferences with the teams, and I hate some teams and I like others. So
Yeah, I mean, also when it comes to hockey or basketball or football and all that stuff in Canada and like US and stuff, it's also there is that whole claim where you're from stuff, right? So it's like you always claim your city and then you got to claim your city's team, and then anyone who's like not claiming the city's team who's from the city is kind of seen as kind of like like a sellout. You know what I mean? Like you can't if you're from Vancouver and then you're like, I don't know, cheering for the Boston Bruins or something, when then like you can, but not when they play against each other. You gotta represent your city, and you can't be like, well, I think Bruins will win the Stanley Cup, because that's not cool. Like you gotta rep your city, rep your city.
Then
So
it's obviously a bit complex when you have some cities that have two teams. Like for basketball, LA has
yeah,
Clippers and Lakers.
yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
actually Lakers fan with basketball. And then you have New York for hockey, Islanders and Rangers.
yeah. New York, yeah, because then it's like the state, and then which part of the state, which city from that state. So it's like, yeah, in like California, you have the Clippers, you have the Kings, the Sacramento Kings, and you have the Lakers. So I think in California they have like three, but it's just like in hockey. You got the LA Kings, you got the San Jose Sharks,
Anaheim Ducks.
and Anaheim Ducks, like all in the state of California. So it's like it can get complicated, yeah. But it's same here in the UK, right? It's like depending on where, I don't know which borough of like London you're in, depending on which, and then some are just going to go outside and say, I'm Manchester United, they're not from Manchester, but like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's it's complicated. In Vancouver, so all we got the Canucks. That's it. Yeah. So you got to represent, and then secondly, you got to represent Canada. Well, at least you're Canadian. I think yes, because after all these players got robbed and got taken to the U.S. for higher salaries and all that stuff, so and the NHL Canadian team statuses fell down, but now you see Canadian teams coming up again, which is really great to see. So there are a lot of great Canadian teams now. So it's good to see. It's good to see that the Jets came back, because obviously they were gone. So maybe one day they'll bring the Hartford Whalers back, because
Yeah.
I remember the Hartford Whalers. So
But now Arizona is moving to Utah. Yeah.
oh, is that right? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah, there's been lots of like talk about like the Arizona Coyotes for many years, but now they're moving to Utah. So
And are they still going to be Coyotes, or are they going to be something else?
they haven't decided it yet. So yeah, probably something else.
It's crazy to have like these kinds of like desert states,
Yeah.
or like this, like have like hockey teams, like Colorado, of course, Avalanche. That makes sense with it sometimes. But right now you got a Battle of Florida, which is crazy. There's a Battle of Florida going on, and it's hockey.
Yeah, Panthers is absolutely destroying Tampa Bay.
So,
But I was thinking that we could kind of pick that, like which two teams are gonna be on each conference final, and then just give like an early pick who is gonna win the Stanley Cup, and then every time we can see how these things have developed or something.
yeah, we can. So Western Conference. So I think if it obviously as I mentioned to you in the pre-chat, like my dream is to, as what I saw as a kid, where you'd have a conference final with like both Canadian teams. Like I don't think that's happened in like 20 or more years, maybe longer, maybe even 30 years. So it would be nice to have that. So that can only happen in the Western Conference, and I think it can only happen if it's Vancouver and the Jets, because I think you mentioned, because the way the standings are, um, between the three, one of them would have to get knocked out for like that. So if Vancouver is there, I think Edmonton would have to get knocked out, because it'd have to be Vancouver Edmonton maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that way.
Yeah. So if it's Vancouver Edmonton or Vancouver and Winnipeg, that would be awesome for the Western. And then Eastern, it's like I have no real dog in the race, but if you ended up with something like a New York and Boston Bruins, I think that could be a pretty great Eastern Conference. but that's very pure Eastern. Like those are the originals, kind of Eastern Conference teams. So you said Carolina has a lot of like Finnish teams, so I'm all for it being something else as well.
Yeah, I'm rooting for East. I'm rooting for Carolina and Florida, and they were the conference final last year, and yeah, both have lots of Finnish players. Again, Florida's captain is a Finnish player, Alexander Barkov, who's one of the best two-way centers in the NHL, and he's a great player. And they also have a couple of other Finnish players, Anton Lundell, who's like a young, also defensive center, pretty good player, and then Eetu Luostarinen, who is kind of like a depth player, but pretty good. And then Carolina, their best player is also Finnish, like Sebastian Aho, who is like a really great center as well, well over point per game this year, and played a great season. And they also have got a couple other Finnish players, but they both have great teams, and Carolina has been doing so well for many years, but they always lose in the conference finals. But we'll see if they can win this time. They got like on a trade Jake Genchel from Pittsburgh, and he's been playing really amazing on Carolina, well over point per game. So he might be the kind of missing piece that they needed, a bit more offense. Yeah.
And then in the West?
Well, if it's like predicting, then I think Vegas is gonna be winning the West, but I hate Vegas, so I'm really hoping that
you really think the Golden Knights are gonna win the West?
Yeah, I mean they've destroyed Dallas in the 2 games, even though Dallas like won the whole Western Conference. And they obviously, there's been lots of talk about them because they've been kind of abusing the injured reserve thing, that if you put the players into the long-term injured reserve, you can go over the cap and stuff. So they have more like expensive players than other teams because they've been abusing the system and stuff. So I hate that stuff. Like, yeah, Mark Stone, like their best player is like, yeah.
So who do you think the Golden Knights will beat in the Western Conference? So who will they play in the final, and then who will they beat?
Well, I think on the second round they'll play probably Edmonton, and then they'll beat Edmonton, and then like maybe Colorado. It's probably gonna be Colorado.
Damn, you're like insulting all the Canadian teams. You're like, none of the Canadian teams are going to the Western final.
Yeah.
Everyone is done before the Western final.
Yeah. I mean, if one is gonna make it, it's gonna be Edmonton probably. But again, they always lose to Vegas, so they lost to Vegas last year too. So yeah.
But you understand, like half the reason these American teams got good was because of these breaking rules with the salary things.
Yeah.
Not even breaking rules; they weren't rules and all. So now it's like you gotta. Come on, man. You can't just not pick a single Canadian team to go anywhere.
Well, it's been such a long time since they won the cup.
And you're so anti-system. So this is how you screw the system, because if you have, and no one wants that, right? Like no one wants 2 Canadian teams in the Western Conference, because for advertising and viewership, it's going to go completely down. Because the market is bigger if you have the American teams. And that was the other thing that would always work against too. It's just in terms of market and advertising and stuff, the NHL would rather have all the American teams going forward versus any Canadian team. But
I would love it if Edmonton made it, but I just don't think they will. Yeah.
They all have potential to go.
And again, now in the Dallas, Vegas, I love Dallas, so I want them to win against Vegas, but they won't. So what can you do?
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
So I'll say the final is gonna be Vegas versus Carolina, and unfortunately, Vegas is gonna win. So.
What a final! What a strange final. Yeah. Vegas and Carolina playing hockey in like June for like the championship. Yeah. I always find that strange. Yeah. It's wrong.
But yeah, Vegas is just too good. Like I've hated them since they came to the league, like 6-7 years ago, or whatever it was. Yeah.
I don't know. Playoffs are interesting though because any team is beatable, and even one round does not guarantee the next round.
Yeah, but
It just
Vegas
seems
has like
crazy.
everything. Like they have the defense, they have forwards who are good at the offense, but also good at defense, and they have good coaching and experience as they won the last time, and everything is just for them. And then many of their best guys got to rest just before the playoffs and stuff. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
I mean, all those things, not denying it, but in playoffs, you just never know. Because you've seen the 8th place teams go all the way. Like, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. They are tough. I'm not going to doubt. I'm not denying that. They're a great team. They're very strong. They got it. But
yeah, I think if it's gonna be Vegas, Vancouver, like Vancouver cannot do anything against them. Like it's basically like boys against men. Like
oh, come on.
yeah,
Okay, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. There's nothing I can say.
I mean Queen Hughes has to do like 5 points every game if they want to win against Vegas. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's hard to know. Heard that things before. I once had a roommate in New York who was like, when the Canucks were playing San Jose, and he's like, the Sharks gonna destroy that. And then the Canucks won. So it's like, but it can go the other way. So it's like it's very hard. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say that they'll beat Vegas, but like yeah, it's tough. Playoffs is tough.
Yeah, I'm gonna root for Vancouver if they play against them. But I'm just a realist that Vegas is gonna win.
But Jets are tough too. I think the Jets are a very tough team.
Yeah, but Colorado is currently beating them in the series at least.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. In hockey, I've seen all kinds of things. So
Yeah,
even the split, like if when people go, so you win 2 in a row, that's it's better than if it's split in the beginning. But I've seen like all kinds of things. So you don't
but
know.
I'm always gonna root against Vegas and I'm always gonna root against Toronto. So those are the two teams that I absolutely hate.
Toronto's not good. I don't think it's
Yeah,
there going past the first
yeah.
round.
Well, their
You know,
best players love to score points in the regular season, but then when they go to the playoffs, they just want to go golfing the whole summer. So yeah, that's the joke always. They rather golf than play in the playoffs. So.
yeah,
Like Auston Matthews scored like 69 goals in the regular season. It was absolutely crazy. But is he a playoff type of player? Not really. So, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but
Still,
Nashville is very beatable for Vancouver, so they will probably make at least the second round, maybe. But we'll see.
yeah.
Like Vancouver, you currently have so much superstar talent, like JT Miller, like over 100 points this season.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, despite all that, yeah, it doesn't always translate because yes, playoffs are different, and then if you have goaltending issues as well, that factors. So, but then coaches also factor because I just feel like the coaching is good with Vancouver, but yeah, we'll see.
Queen Hughes
We'll
will
see.
at least get the best defenseman award, probably. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
But Vancouver has already been way better this season than anybody predicted before the season. Nobody were
yeah,
talking about that they would be like one of the best in the Western Conference.
yeah, yeah, and which is the good thing, right? That's
Yeah.
hopefully they can keep building on that. That's I think that's also the most important because it's not about just one season. It's also about the team you can build up, right? Because when you look at the legacy strong teams, then they had runs that year on year. I mean, like the most despised by all Canucks fans, the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, when the Red Wings were great, they were great, and they were just like unbeatable. Like, right? This is in the streak they had. So yeah, you see that the Red Wings.
And they also fought against Pittsburgh a lot in the early Crosby years.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Again, Detroit had like Henrik Zetterberg and Pavel Datsyuk and those legends and stuff.
Yeah, they were so tough. They were brutal. They're such a tough team. So fast, so strong, great goaltending. They had it all.
Yeah. But then 20-year-old Crosby showed them who's the boss. So yeah. Crosby still going strong, even though he's almost 40 now. So.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But let's hope that Vancouver goes, I don't know, at least to the second round. So,
yeah, well,
it would be an improvement over the last couple of seasons that have been pretty dark for Vancouver. So yeah,
it's always like that with Vancouver. You don't know. To be a Vancouver fan is like little brightness, and then it's like dark ages. And then there'll be like brightness. It's always happened that like when. And not until the whole like Sedin, Naslund, Bertuzzi, like that team. If you look at before that team, like how dark it was for the Canucks when we had like Messi and all this, like how terrible it was. Like, so it's always like that. It's like Canucks come up, and then that time with with that whole Naslund led team, like yes, they for a while they were good, but in the playoffs you just couldn't, and then they finally reached the finals. But then it was the Bruins, and the Bruins just destroyed them. So here we are again. So we'll see what happens. But I won't be like heartbroken because this is they did better than expected, and then they're there. They have potential, but there are a lot of tough teams, a lot of great teams. So.
And Vancouver still has like decent future as most of your key players are still quite young. Like Quinn Hughes is like 24 and Elias Pettersson is 25, I think. They just signed him to a new contract as well.
And what about our exciting third line with Joshua and all?
Yeah.
They're a great line. Great third line. So.
And you traded for Elias Lindholm, who's really good. So yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. But as long as I see Canucks, Jets, or Oilers in the finals, I'll be very happy.
Maybe all of them lose before the finals, but yeah, that's my prediction. But
yeah, maybe, or maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I want to see Vancouver, New York Rangers in the final. Yeah. We rehash the past. Yeah. Help heal my childhood. Yeah. When the Canucks were in the finals with the Rangers, and we almost, when we had Pavel Bure.
Yeah, he was great.
Kirk McLean was our goalie. That was my childhood, so I'm like, let's do it again. Canucks, Rangers, let's go.
Well, it's all up to the Western Conference. Canadian teams as the Eastern ones are not doing that well. Like Montreal and Ottawa are in a rebuild, and Ottawa was supposed to be competing now, but no, they just cannot get their act together.
Yeah. No, those other teams are Eastern Conference. Yeah.
I mean, Montreal is probably going to be good in like 3 or 4 years. They just need a bit more draft picks and young players to get older. But, yeah.
You weren't born yet in the glory days of the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
when they had like Patrick Roy and Chelios and all that. Like they were great. They used to be great.
Toronto used to be great as well, and that was even before you were born. So
Yeah. But that was a very, very long time ago. Yeah.
the 60s.
Yeah. You're just taking shots at Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were good. But you were good like 50 years ago.
It's the same like England in football or soccer. That it was the 60s when they brought it home, but cannot do it again. So
This year, man, Euro Cup.
yeah, I'm rooting for them. So as I live there, but yeah.
Well, in Euro, I generally always root for like I like Germany.
I like Germany. I hate Spain and Portugal as they always have to give us. Yeah. Like I hated Ronaldo. Yeah.
You and I are similar. We don't like the diva. Yeah. The ones everyone else loves because they're so exciting. Yeah.
But for the southern teams, Italy, I like their defensive style.
Yeah.
But yeah, England and Germany, I'm gonna root for them, and then Netherlands as well. Finland didn't make it this time. We made it last time for the first time ever, but not this time. So we are just awful at soccer. Yeah, but at least we do well in ice hockey. So.
Well, yeah, you guys are great at ice hockey.
Yeah, even leading many of the teams now in the playoffs.
We used to have the Finnish players and Canucks too. So.
Yeah. Well, there was like a Finnish tragedy in the Canucks fairly recently because in the 2016 draft, you drafted in the top 5 like this Finnish defenseman called Olli Juolevi, but he ended up being a bust. He was supposed to be like a great Quinn Hughes type of like offensive defenseman, but then he just never developed after the juniors that well, and now he's just like an average player in I think some European league or something. So it's always very sad when those tragedies happen that there's so much potential, but then they just cannot translate the game into NHL.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's it for the NHL talk. Let's just hope that Vegas fails. I'm gonna root for it. Yeah, I was so angry last season when they won. Like, although when you see the Stanley Cup celebrations, then you kind of start like not being like fairly happy because it's cool to see that they've worked their whole lives for it and they get the win. So obviously, I'm not that bitter that I'm gonna be like throwing temper tantrums forever. But But sometimes I think that I should do some of these sports videos on my channel, but then like
why not?
Yeah.
You're format agnostic. You talk about whatever you feel like. You're one of the few who can do it. You just talk about whatever you feel like.
But then there are some like hockey watching rednecks complaining why you talk about art house films and not Marvel movies.
Yeah, well, you're gonna appeal to that crowd that watches hockey and then also watches art house films.
You and me might be the only ones.
No, there might be others. You don't think?
Yeah, I mean, like knowing the hockey people, they aren't the most intellectual types usually.
If you like, have you ever seen that movie Goon?
No, but I know of it. Yeah,
it's kind of funny actually. It's a funny movie because it's about hockey. It's a nice satire of hockey. Goons in hockey. Yeah, the guys who are just played to be enforcers. It's got some nice Canadian humor in there. So.
Yeah. But it's often the case that people are either into sports or arts, not into both. So.
Yeah. Which is strange because that's not how it was in Greece or Rome.
Yeah. And I just like to
Gymnasium was for both. So.
Yeah. And I think it's great to celebrate human excellence in whatever form, whether it's sports and like Sidney Crosby scoring 1,500 points in his career, but then also like Caravaggio's paintings and stuff like that. Miles Davis music, like why cannot we love it all?
Yeah. Now you sound like a Minnie Riperton song.
Yeah.
Why can't we love it all?
Yeah. But it's also annoying to kind of have so many hobbies, because how can you have the time to
put that's the hard part.
all of them?
Honestly. Like I don't follow the NHL like you do. You know, like everything about it. I don't know that much about the stuff, but yeah. Because even just watching these playoffs, it's like, when do I can't really watch. So it's like you have to get the timing right and everything like that. It's too much of a commitment. And now I have like 3 films to watch, to discuss, and other films to watch as well.
Cool. And the Barbarian. So. Arnold at his most muscle pounds, so as it was the early 80s.
Maybe I'll have to order a pizza for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, some good pizza.
That's a pizza. That's a pizza movie. That's a pizza and Coke movie.
Or steak. Because my stepfather loved this movie, so yes, the steak and
Yeah, you just see Arnold ripped. You can eat whatever you want while you're sitting watching him be all ripped and vanquishing the enemies.
Yeah, my stepfather would have eaten steak and like drink vodka and something like that.
Yeah.
No vegetables at all, just the steak.
You don't need vegetables.
Yeah, just put it in the air fryer and you're done.
Yeah, that's it.
But maybe you'll actually get the steak from some nice restaurant in London or something.
No, come on. It's like you want a steak from a nice restaurant. It's like the price of a box set. I'd rather have that Sembed box set than have a steak from a restaurant. Yeah. It's like the same price. When people are like, you're being extravagant by buying these box sets or movies and stuff, when you think about it, just like don't drink expensive wine and go for expensive dinners, and then there you go. You can just collect movies instead if you're so inclined.
Yeah, even blind buying might seem more sensible when you quit all the other stuff.
It's true. Like if you think you go for a lunch and lunch is going to be like 15 quid sometimes, 20 quid, you're like, there you go. There's your one blind buy film. Like,
it's good
dare
for
I
me.
Say 4K. You could even go 4K. The blasphemy of going 4K.
Yeah.
How dare you go 4K? You don't need 4K.
Well, it's good here in Finland. Like we get student lunch for €3, so and it's good quality food and good variety. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Finland is the garden. Finland is the place to be. There you go. You don't have to worry about global warming. Right.
Well, it's been snowing this week here, so it's almost May.
Yeah, see? How can it snow? There's no global warming.
No. That's what the right-wingers say. Because they don't know what is the difference between climate and the weather. So, Such a difficult distinction. But anyway, we are just rambling on this. Yeah. We'll end the podcast now. It was fun as always. It was 2 very different films, but both Japanese and soul music. And next time will be very exciting with 3 different films, 1 American, 1 Japanese, 1 Korean, and some action stuff, some drama stuff, and anime stuff. And we can also, it will be 3 weeks, so a lot will have happened in the NHL. I think it will be maybe the end of the second round of the playoffs or something at that time.
Yeah, we'll see what will happen. And I'll be in Gangster Gibbs mode.
Yeah.
I'll be bumping Freddie Gibbs.
I think somebody who loves 50 Cent will really love Freddie Gibbs as well. So
Okay, yeah.
there's some similarities there.
For sure. Sounds good.
Yeah. But thanks for watching, although I don't expect any of you to make it this far. But thanks anyway. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, 7th episode next. Bye-bye. Have a nice spring. Sayonara and arigato gozaimashita. Picador.